One thing that has really stood out, has really shone a light on where I'm concerned and has really stuck out to me is that in the midst of all of this, in the midst of people trying to flee from their homes, in the midst of them trying to dodge bullets and bombs and bombardment, they still have time for racism. Because you've got thousands of Black, Asian, Syrian, Arab students and workers who have been also trying to get out of Ukraine and have been prevented from doing so due to the incessant racism that they have experienced. They've not been allowed to go through borders. There have been quite a few of them not been allowed to go through the border into Poland, for example. Where they've been pushed back. We're looking at some of the footage now that people have been posting up. They've been pushed back. There are posters up saying no blacks. They have been pulled off buses that have been trying to get through the border because they have been not allowed to leave because they've been seen as being less than. And I think that really does shine a light on the fact that it doesn't matter how devastated somebody is, how scared somebody is, they seem to always have time for some of the worst traits of humanity. And there are British students as well. There's a Black British student called Corinne Skye who's been tweeting over the past week of her desperate travels, her desperation to try and get out of Ukraine and get back home to here, and has been fought back by Ukrainian troops, have been pushed back by Ukrainian people who do not feel, who believe that the Black people need to be at the back of the bus. Essentially, that's what we're talking about here. And I just think that my heart really does go out to the Ukrainian people and those who are in those bordering countries who are doing all they can to try and help them, but will not help anybody whose skin is darker. And I think that's a very clear reflection of what it is that the world is dealing with. And this isn't just in Ukraine. This happens in wars the world over, especially when it comes to migrant workers. The difference, I think, this time is it's a younger demographic who are used to posting on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook, and they're telling their story. And I really hope that people understand when we talk about things like...
Yeah, but I know, I hear what you're saying and I completely understand it. And on the news last night, they did show some of the students talking about how badly they had been treated and the effort that it had taken for them to actually get on the train and cross the border. But I also think that Poland, for example, has exceeded all expectations in accepting 150,000
Oh, my goodness me.
refugees.
I understand that, but you have thousands of refugees. You can't stand there and say, oh, you 50 people come in, you 4 people with darker skin. Sorry.
I know, but this isn't a surprise. This isn't a surprise to anyone who has moved, any asylum seeker who's moved across Europe has met this in Hungary and other countries.
To a lot of people, it will come as a surprise. It didn't come as a surprise to me because I am a Black woman who's travelled through Europe and I've dealt with a lot of the ups and downs that can come with. I love travelling, but you always have to make a judgment call about how to deal with certain situations as a result of the colour of my skin in the way that you won't have to, Janet. So I think, yes, it does happen, but this has really shone a light in a way that perhaps, a lot of people watch this programme may well not realise just how difficult it can be.
Well, I think if they watch the documentary about the family that crossed all the way from Syria right across Europe last year, which was like an award-winning documentary, everybody realises that anyway, but all the Eastern European borders are places that are fraught with all sorts of tension.
I think it's easy, as, we're both journalists, I think it's easy for us to say everybody knows. Everybody doesn't know. And that's the point of having programmes like this, I think, and we talk about the things that we do.